I made $100,000 before I turned 18, and I didn't really expect any of this to happen, and I definitely wasn't expecting this, but nonetheless, it still happened, and my brain is still kind of processing how it all happened. So I think the best thing that I can do is go from beginning to end and explaining my entire story and how I actually got $100,000. Because the truth is yeah, this YouTube channel helped me make that $100,000, but it's not how I got the $100,000. And there was another thing that I did that actually took me there. So let's go all the way back to the very beginning. And my online business journey started when I was about 12 years old. I was 12 years old. It was 2020 and Andrew Tate was around. And after watching Andrew Tate, I got like this spark, the spark of motivation that you get when you see Andrew Tate for the first time. I got that, but since I was a 12-year-old, I was obsessed with Roblox and I wanted to become a Roblox millionaire. That's what Andrew Tate did for me, at least. So I wanted to become a Roblox millionaire, and I didn't know how to become a Roblox millionaire. So I went to YouTube and I looked up how to make a million Robux, and all these things came up, like trading. I did that and I got scammed. There was making Roblox games, but I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to code, and there wasn't any AI back then, so I couldn't do that. So the only thing that I could do was commissions, and I found out how to make Roblox GFX. So I took my mom's laptop. It wasn't this one. It was like a Windows laptop. It was like a built-in iPad. It was like an iPad laptop. So I used that, and I made a couple shitty Roblox GFX designs, and they were terrible designs, but they still did what they did. They still provided their value to whoever bought them. So I did these designs, and I started to get better at them over time. And I remember I made a Twitter account, a Discord account, and a Roblox Talent Hub page. And I went by the name Mall Soup. It was a very weird name. I don't know why I picked that name, but that's the name that I picked. And so I was posting on Twitter and Discord and the Talent Hub every single day. And I was just begging developers to hire me to make their Roblox game icons. And so I was making game icons. I was making like 1,000 Robux a game icon. And eventually I got pretty good at it. And my parents saw that I was very dedicated to these graphic designs. So for Christmas, they bought me a gaming PC. I took that gaming PC and I became the best 12-year-old graphic designer in the world. Probably not. They were still probably terrible. But I did get pretty good, and it took me to a new high. I was better than most people at graphic designs, and I was charging a couple thousand Robux per graphic design. So over time, a span of a couple months, I started making like 100,000 to 200,000 Robux a month. And that's pretty good for a 12-year-old. That's pretty crazy for a 12-year-old. I made like a million Robux and then I quit. I don't know why I quit. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did quit. I took all my Robux and blew it all on Pet Simulator. And then I just chilled for a couple years until 2024. Now 2024 was probably the worst year of my life so far. Because unfortunately, as much as it hurts to say this, my mom made me get a job. Like any 14-year-old, I didn't want to get a job. That was like the last thing that I wanted. I ended up getting this job, and of course, I hated it. I was working from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. So I woke up 6 o'clock, I went to school, I went to my tutor, and then I went to work, and then I had homework. So really from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, I was busy, and this was terrible for me. And also another thing I hated so much about this job was that the older people there were so disrespectful. They were so mean to me for no reason. They worked me so hard, and all I made was $16 an hour. And you were probably asking yourself at the beginning of this video, why the fuck am I wearing this? And this was the uniform that I wore at my job. And as you can see, it's very dirty. I haven't cleaned it probably since the last time I wore it, which was a year and a half ago when I actually quit that job. But it does get the point across that this was the work uniform. That's why I'm wearing it. And I'm showing you guys the proof that I actually worked this job. And I wish I had proof of the graphic designs, but I don't have that gaming PC anymore. It's like torn apart and put in the basement because I wanted to clean out my room. So that's the proof. That's all the proof I can give you. I do have some videos, but I'm not going to share them at the moment. They're probably on my Instagram, so go follow my Instagram at Ricky Kennan. But anyways, back to the point. I hated this job. It was terrible. I told my parents, I told my mom, I told my dad, I hate this job. I want to quit. And they looked at me like I'm an idiot. And they said, "Why would you want to quit this job? This is such a good job. You're making $16 an hour. That's great for a high schooler. Any other high schooler would be happy to have this job. You're so fortunate to have this situation." And I remember I was like, dude, what are you talking about? This job sucks. I hate this job. I don't want to work here. I just kind of went with it. I kept going. And while I was working there, I keep shaking the table. While I was working there, I kept thinking to myself, I was like, yo, 12-year-old me making these shitty graphic designs was making 100,000 Robux a month. And if you cash that out into real dollars, I was making about the same amount of money as the 12-year-old version of me. 12-year-old me was making like $500 a month graphic designing. I'm making like $600 a month doing this bullshit dining server job at a retirement home that I hated, that I got bullied at. I hated it, and you can kind of see why, and you can kind of see why there's so much anger behind it, even though I'm composing my anger pretty well. I normally I would be yelling at the top of my lungs when talking about this topic because that's how much I hated this job. So I ended up quitting that job in 2025. That next year, I went with the bullshit for a year, and then I quit that job in 2025. And 2025 was the year that really changed everything. However, I did quit this job without knowing what I was going to do for the next few years. I probably had about $1,500 in my bank account. I wasn't really prepared. I just kind of went for it. And I think that's really how you have to go through life, with just go for it. Just take those risks and you will be rewarded for them. So I took this major risk. It was very dumb to look back on. I can see why my parents were skeptical, and my family thought I was cooked. They thought I was making a terrible decision and I shouldn't have done this. So I quit my job. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I was going to get rich, and that's all that really mattered. So I went into my room, and for the next year, or not the next year, the next few weeks, all I did was sit in my room and look up YouTube videos how to get rich. Just like I did for Roblox. When I wanted to get 1,000,000 Robux, I looked up how to make 1,000,000 Robux. When I want to get rich, I went to YouTube and I looked up how to get rich. So that's what I did. And I was watching these YouTube videos, and a lot of them were saying download Shopify and use Shopify. So what Shopify actually is it's a platform where you can take a product and sell it on your own website. So what I decided to do was take a cheap product on AliExpress, like a $5 toy, and sell it on my own website for $20. And this is exactly what I started doing. And my first store failed. My second store also failed. And my third and fourth and fifth and sixth, and really pretty much all of my stores failed. So with all my stores failing, I kept losing money. It was very expensive. Now that I think about it, I did lose like quite a bit of money with all those failed stores, but I did learn from all of them. So I was like, I keep failing. I'm not making any money. I'm losing money. Like, I'm severely in debt. I remember I was about $300 in debt to my mom. And on top of that, I decided to get a mentor. I put my last $1,000 into buying a mentorship. His name was Robert Malagisi. He was an actual goat, and something that is important is that I looked up to him so much. Like I really glazed that dude because he was rich and I wanted to become rich. I had literally no money left, and I just kept going. I did not give up. Like, that's one thing I did. I just kept going. Even though I was in debt, even though nothing was working, I kept going. About 40 products later, 40 failed stores later, 40 failed YouTube channels later, one night, it was like 8 o'clock at night, I made this new video and I posted it to YouTube. And I didn't think much of it. I just went to bed thinking, oh, it's just gonna get 1,000 views like most of my videos do. It didn't. It got 1 million views overnight. I woke up the next day and I was freaking out. There was almost a tear in my eye. All this time, I was spending all this money. Finally, all my work paid off. I finally went viral on YouTube. I remember my whole life, like literally my whole life objective to this point was to get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Pretty much all my teen years, all I did in my free time was like make YouTube channels and try to just go viral just for fun. And so really just getting that first 1 million views meant quite a bit to me. Some time went by, maybe like a month or two. I had 100,000 subscribers. My lifelong dream had come true. Little 5-year-old me would be so proud. 12-year-old me would be so proud. And then a few months later, I got 1 million subscribers. That $100,000 that I made, it didn't come from the 1 million subscribers. It didn't come from my website. It came from my sales process. So I'm going to break down my sales process as simple as possible. So I had the videos, millions and millions of views. I would tell people to go to the link in my bio and the link in the pinned comment. I'd spam that everywhere. I made sure that as many people found the website as possible. Think of it like a pyramid. Okay? At the top of the pyramid, I had my videos. Then the layer down, one layer down on the pyramid, I had the website. And on the website, I would have a discount pop up. I would collect their name, their phone number, their email, and yeah, that's it. Name, phone number, and email. So I'd collect that, and then I would send them text messages like all the time. So then we're bringing it down to this level. I'd send them text messages, emails, and everything like that. And then I would send them abandoned cart reminders, and then they would buy. So it's like a pyramid. It's not a pyramid scheme, it's a sales pyramid. But the way it actually worked was, for the text messages, I would just send them like months of follow-ups. I would send them discounts. I would send them reminders, abandoned cart reminders. So that's like if they didn't finish the checkout, but they went to the checkout, I'd be like, hey, you left this behind. And then the emails, I would send them like blogs, I would send them stories, I would send them videos, just anything to stay in contact with these people. I made sure to keep every potential customer as warm as possible, stay in contact with all of them. And that is what helped me go from $5,000 a month to $40,000 a month. There's a clear difference, and it's the sales process, because all of these big e-commerce businesses, I'm sure you get messages yourself. The store literally messages you. The team messages you. So that is very important. But I don't tell people to dropship anymore. I don't tell people to sell AliExpress products on their own website anymore, because I had a terrible experience doing it. I tested 40 products before I made any money. I was in severe debt to my mom. I was in a lot of debt to my mom. I was always worried somebody would copy me. And at the end of the day, I didn't build a long-term brand. Yeah, sure, I got 1 million subscribers. I made $100,000 off one channel, but it's not long-term, and it's not something that I can stick to for the rest of my life. I'm not going to have these shitty drop shipping products making me money for the rest of my life. But what will make you money for the rest of your life is a good sales process. So that's my next point, and it's that every person making a good amount of money, making a lot of money, is doing something in sales. I think like 75% of billionaires are in sales. So the people at the very top, the people making the most money online, are selling something to their audience, whether it's a coaching program, it's a mentorship, some type of product, some type of software. They're selling something to you guys. Now, you can take notes from this because you guys need to start selling something. Everyone here has some type of skill. Everyone here has some type of software idea. Everyone here has some type of product that they can produce. You might not know it yet, but you do. You have something that you can provide to people. You need to figure out what that is, and you need to start selling it, and you need to start getting rich from it. So now that you know you can make money online, you know how you're going to make money. You're going to make money selling. You're going to make money selling your skill. Just like I sold Roblox GFX designs. You know, that's on the smaller scale, but it's still, I sold something, and that's how you make money. So you know you need to sell something. Now you need to figure out how you're going to get people to buy into you. And this is honestly the easy part. At least for me, this was the easy part, because if you're like me, you probably scroll for at least an hour a day. And if you scroll for an hour a day, you've kind of trained your brain to understand viral content. For example, if you scroll enough, you know what a good hook looks like. You know when you would scroll, and you know how to get comments. You know what gets comments. So by knowing all of these things, whether you realize it or not, you already know how to make a viral video. The only thing stopping you from going viral is posting. So make a viral video, sell your product, and get rich. That is how I made $100,000. It's as simple as that. Build an audience, sell something to that audience, and use a sales process to turn as many viewers into buyers. If you're building a personal brand, or you already have a personal brand, and you want to get rich online, the links are in the description. Thank you.